Welcome to the continued podcast adventures of Superhero Speak.
But I think many of the people that love this character and that love superheroes in general have used these stories as inspiration to say, you know what? I'm going to do something good in the world. I'm going to make a difference like my hero when I was a kid.
That is my fondest memory of it, because when you're doing comic books, you want them to affect people, right? You want people to care. You want to strike emotions, and I knew that Clone Saga was striking a lot of emotions.
Can you imagine Pulp Fiction starring Goofy and Mickey Mouse?
I can totally imagine that.
I'm sure somebody's written that one too.
Quarter pounder with cheese in France, Mickey. What? Royale with cheese, Mickey. Yeah, I can totally.
See?
I would watch the hell out of that movie.
Yes, I gladly sacrifice that my progeny to you, almighty Marvel beast.
But Neil Adams is somewhere going, it's my time.
How do you measure success? Hey everyone, you're listening to Superhero Speak, and I'm your host Dave.
And John.
And JD.
And this week, boys and girls, it's just us again. But how's everyone doing? Any fun stories from the weekend or the past week?
You're trolling, and I'm not going to rise to that.
I'm not trolling. I'm just asking how you're doing, John. I'm concerned as a friend.
I am much happier today than I was 2 weeks ago.
Is that because maybe somebody had a date over the weekend?
Could possibly be. I don't know.
And did said date go well?
Yeah.
All right. That's all you're going to tell us?
On air. That's all you get.
All right.
It doesn't matter. I still have rage in my heart.
How about you, JD? Any hot dates?
No, I'm married with a 2-year-old.
That doesn't mean you stop with the hot dates.
With the 2-year-old, it does.
That's what babysitters are for.
Or money.
Well, in my case, my sister has me go up to Connecticut to watch the kids for 5 days while her and her husband go off. So that's what crazy uncles are for.
Yes.
No, pretty boring weekend.
Great. Yeah.
How many books did you write in the last week?
Still doing edits on number 3. Hoping to have it finished by today or tomorrow. And then I got a little bit of work I got to do the rest of the week. And then I'm going to probably plot out the 4th one the following week. And then I'd like to get the whole thing done in September. That's the goal. To get a soup to nuts novel done in 1 month.
You disgust me.
Thanks. Now you sound like my wife.
And I mean that in the nicest, most admirable of ways, but I hate you.
I've been called better by worse.
Fair enough.
Let's see, me. So I, typical boring weekend. I went to my sister's, who lives in Palm, PA, which, those who don't know, it's about a little over an hour from where I live, and they had a barbecue, so me and my wife and my daughter and my granddaughters went. So while we're up there, after we're done eating and relaxing or whatever, my wife goes, "Oh, let's go to your aunt, who happens to live I didn't know it was that close, but lives about 15 minutes from my sister." So, it was one of those, we originally weren't going to even go to my sister's, and then I don't get home until late because you're traveling all around God's creation. Family, they suck. I mean, I love you all. But it was an interesting distraction. I wanted to bring this up, but I wasn't sure how to bring it up, and I just wanted to let this person know that we're thinking of him and we wish him well. So, friend of the show, somebody I've known for a fairly long time, is walking away from comic books for a while. And for those who haven't heard this news yet, it's J.G. Jones. So those who don't know, JG is originally from Louisiana. He moved up to the Philadelphia area. He actually lives in my neighborhood. I see him every year in Philly at the convention, and, you know, we've hung out a couple times. He actually used to always go for walks in the park right up the corner from my house. And so he's walking away from, it was just announced this week, he's walking away from comics because he has a rare form of blood cancer, which has metastasized into his bone, and he's having issues with his bone marrow, and he now needs stem cell transplants. So,
oh, crap.
So yeah, so he's not, he's, you know, he's in good spirits. You know, he wants all his fans to not worry about him that way, and he hopes to one day get back to comics, but for now it's too much going on for him to keep working. So, just want to say we wish you well, JG, and hopefully we'll see you back in comics soon. And yeah, he was actually I was looking today, he was our guest on episode 13.
Wow, that goes back.
Yeah, that goes back to the early days when I wasn't sure if we were going to have guests or not, and I molded the idea back and forth, and I started asking people I know to be on the show, and he was one of the first ones to say yes, so it was like, and it molded it to what it is today. Lovely. So.
Yeah. Yeah, all our well wishes with him then. Because we've had enough. We've had enough bad news this week on that score for people. I mean, like John McCain and what's his name from Broadway and
Neil Simon.
Neil Simon, yeah, just Neil Simon was like an institution.
Yeah.
And John McCain, guy, real life Rambo in certain ways. I mean. So, yeah.
Yeah. So,
where do we go from here? We need a transition.
So we'll
let's see.
We'll transition to JD's favorite part of the show. Social media madness.
Well, there's one thing I want to add to this. We'll add it at the end before we go on to the rest of the news.
Okay. So we talked about Alan Moore. Well, we talked about the Watchmen show, and I made a joke about Alan Moore turning in his grave, or I think
that was my joke.
That was your joke, JD. I'm sorry. You're right, because we said he wasn't dead, and you said he probably sleeps in a coffin anyway.
It was funnier the first time, but yes.
It's still funny the second time, but that's only if you have the memory of a goldfish, which is me, so there you go.
So Vince Ross replied back, and he said, Alan Moore doesn't sleep, he simmers.
There's a lot of truth to that, actually. I did get a chuckle out of reading that one.
Yes, yes. So,
nice.
Yeah, it was funny. One that we seem to have gotten a lot of reaction from was Wolverine's new costume.
2 thumbs down, 1 star.
People are talking about it.
Yeah. So next, the cat thing said it was awful. R.G. Humble replied, 3 buttons seems kind of lame. Why would Logan dress like that? Timothy.
I don't know. He's worn worse. I was thinking about some of this stuff.
Now, if they had gone 4 buttons, that would have been
exactly. Timothy McCown Reynolds. He's over Wolverine. Sometimes I agree with that. Eric Major. Did he go to culinary art school? Like that one. Yeah, because Navachuk Gracely replied, he looks like a chef. So yeah, did he go to culinary?
He does look like a chef. He's right. You could put a rat on his head and it's Ratatouille.
Oh my god.
You couldn't you?
Oh, it's bad. It's bad. It's bad.
Nice one.
Maurice Pinto said, just bring back the yellow one. Yeah, I didn't like it, but it's better than looking like he works as a waiter at a Chinese restaurant.
Oh, so, like, that's literally not a lot of people like this at all. Just...
Yeah. One person, I don't have all of the responses here because there are several different tweets. We had people drawing pictures and sending them over to us in response to this of him in the classic costume. And one person had said, give him the classic costume or civvies. Everything else is ridiculous. So yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of was shocked because, you know, the X-Men have all been in lots of different costumes over the years, so
yep.
It's not like he's only had one look. But again, people do get attached to things, right, JD?
They do. Remember when Jim Lee put all the X-Men back in like the yellow and blue?
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's all in love with these like high neckline suits. Those were pretty terrible too.
Were there riots?
I don't know. I was like 12, or 10. So I mean, like, I couldn't tell you if there were riots or
not. Yeah, well, just like the Superman costume has a high collar that he did.
Yeah, he digs that. I don't know why.
I don't think I've ever seen him wearing a high collar shirt like that.
I don't think I've ever seen any human being wearing a high collar shirt like that.
Lots of anime people do. They're very popular in anime.
Yes.
You look at something like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Macross, even like we were talking about last week. A lot of the ones last week. So yeah, anything where they're portraying the army or the military forces.
Right.
So. Is that what we're going for now? They're military? The X-Men are military now. Oh, that's good.
And then finally, on the inclusion of Spin on the Flash, Benjamin Hall said he's hoping they don't screw this up like they did the Slade, because they confused the Slade with the JSA villain Ian who?
Cargill. Ian, it's Shade, and it's Ian Cargill.
Cargill, yes, okay. So, I'm not a DC guy, so other than the shows. Yeah, but it's I used to get angry at that when they did a different take on a hero or a villain. But then I'm like, it's a separate universe, you know? It's like getting mad at the Ultimate Universe in Marvel for changing the origins of the villains when it's like, no, it's a retelling, so it's fine. Am I alone?
No, it just we're marveling at the majesty of this question.
I got lost.
You're lost?
Wow, this is really bad. It's like I think we need to take it down a notch.
Oh, wow, you guys are just on fire tonight.
No, but that would probably be an improvement.
All right.
Fire.
And just as a side, kids, don't play with fire.
No, don't play with fire. All right. Let's move on then to new news. We'll start with some Marvel news. We'll start with the good. And that is Kevin Feige talks Black Panther Oscar campaign plans. So, those who aren't aware, the Oscars have decided to add a new category because the ratings are down on the award show, and the new category is Best Popular Movie, with a lot of people complaining that that's what money should nominate popular movies for the other awards.
On the one hand, a lot of the movies we likely did deserve an award. We're probably getting an award. But on the other hand, I really feel like this is we've got our noses up in the air and our pinkies up when we drink, and we do not think that Guardians of the Galaxy deserves any real award, so we'll give it the other award, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I mean, it's I don't know, it's
the great participation trophy.
It is. You're absolutely right. That is exactly it.
So I'm doing a lot of thinking on this one. Like, it's weird, but a lot of times these genre films are some of the best movies Hollywood is producing. Like, it's weird because it seems like all the effort from Hollywood is going into these big tentpole pictures, which traditionally the Academy kind of turns their nose at more times than not all the time. Return of the King got an Oscar, but at the same time, there isn't a push to really open. Like they went from like 5 to 10 Best Picture nominations, and it's still like there's. I mean, like I dug Shape of Water, but I think that if that's like literally the best film that comes out in a year, it's not a good year. You know, I liked it. Don't get me wrong. I liked Guillermo del Toro's monster movies, but I kind of went, boy, we're in a rough spot,
right?
As far as Hollywood goes this year. That's a weird, creepy monster movie, which again I dug, but it's not Lawrence of Arabia, you know?
Yeah,
like,
and
where is that movie?
And look what we're doing. The thing that I wanted to add before is that we're getting a new movie based on Galaga.
It's like 30 years behind the times, but
and also, you know, a movie on a video game, which all we know have historically done very well.
Has there ever been one good one? Like, realistic question. Has there been one movie based in a video game that hasn't just been god-awful?
Well, Mario Brothers was so god-awful. It was almost good. I mean,
the only thing... It depends on your definition of god-awful, and I'm not a fan of these movies, but the ones where, like, with the zombie outbreak and...
The Resident Evil
movies. Like, they were popular enough...
But they weren't good.
To have a series, right. But they're not Oscar-worthy movies.
Not even Oscar. I mean, like, not even Oscar. I think this is the problem, too, is we set there's such a chasm between what's a good movie and what's an Oscar movie that you really have done a pretty good job of pushing away the average viewer. And you need art house films. Like filmmakers should be able to express their opinion and make some weird, quirky movies. Mm-hmm. The problem is that shouldn't be all they're making. Same as like tentpole films shouldn't be the only thing that Hollywood is making either. I mean, there's a problem with the film industry.
Oh, yeah.
And it's showing with this, like the whole. I do kind of hope Black Panther gets a real Oscar nomination, but the whole like popular movie category is like, it's so tone deaf.
Right. Because a lot of people were hoping Black Panther was going to get just
a real Oscar nomination, because it is a good movie. Like, and you can with 10 movies that are nominated. I mean, like. You can throw the fans a bone, and then they get angry when whatever, you know, I'm sure whatever's going to win the Oscar hasn't come out quite yet. But
I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people that think Michael B. Jordan should get Best Supporting Actor at least.
He's really good.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He was really good. I mean, Ledger did, so it's not entirely crazy.
Right. But then people argue that they just gave it to him because he passed away.
And it wouldn't be the first time. I got an argument with a friend about this, but the only reason John Wayne won an Oscar was because, you know, it was pretty much his last movie. And they're like, well, it was pretty much a Lifetime Achievement Award.
Right.
When John Wayne got it, you know. So it's not like that's against the Academy. And they like, you know, Return of the King got it because they're like, well, here you go, nerds. You can have this one.
Right. I mean, because, like, as much as we all love Infinity War, it's not an Oscar caliber movie.
No, I enjoyed it a lot, but like I said, we talked about these movies are almost TV shows where you can't go in. We talked about this in a review. You can't go into Infinity War blind.
Right.
Like you have to watch some Marvel, whereas you can watch Black Panther.
True.
You know, some dude off the street could watch Black Panther. You don't need to have an encyclopedic knowledge of the Marvel Cinematic Universe to enjoy it.
Same thing with Guardians of the Galaxy, the original.
I agree with that. Yes, the original was a good film.
And it could stand on its own.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because it was in outer space and removed from everything going on in the rest of the MCU, right?
Right, you don't have to know who Thanos is to he's just a villain that shows up and you get the hint that, oh, that's a bad guy, you know?
Yeah.
Right. And speaking of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, God, here we go again.
All right. Yes, audience, we promised we weren't going to talk about this stuff.
But if they're going to make news...
But we lied.
It keeps happening.
Now, this isn't necessarily James Gunn news. This is just Guardians of the Galaxy specific news.
Oh,
but
it's
we
James
all,
Gunn news.
yeah, we all know it has to do with that. I mean, come on, you know.
But Volume 3 has been delayed indefinitely. It was been taken off of the calendar, and they're regrouping and figuring out what they want to do with the movie.
The mouse finally screwed up royally, and it's the mouse. This isn't Marvel. This is the mouse. They screwed it up.
They really dug themselves into a hole where they kind of, I think that's the best thing they can do right now, because what director would want to pick this up and have this kind of a backlash, and, you know, people aren't going to be talking about your movie. They're talking about the surroundings of the previous movie. It's the best thing they could do is just not do anything with the property until something cools off or changes or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, wait till a couple more of the movies come out and everyone's happy again, and then they're like,
yeah,
oh, what happened with Guardians of the Galaxy? And then, you know, oh, here's your third one.
That's fine. I mean, especially if it's not the right time, you know? And there's no reason to just bring these things out anyway. Like, there's enough toys in the shed.
Is it their storyline?
Probably not.
I don't know. Depends how long it gets delayed, right? Because these movies, they do. I mean, okay, so Guardians of the Galaxy may have less of a tie to the general overarching storyline, but it may be with, like, Adam Warlock. It may drive some of the overarching storyline, and depending on how long it gets delayed, it could mess up other stories.
And I think you're probably right. So I think that they probably have taken that into consideration. And everything in, gosh, I guess, is this phase 4 we're about to head into?
Yep.
Yeah.
So I guess they can move stuff around, or, you know, because I mean, like, a lot of the stuff they do, the overarching storylines are done in, they're not even subplots, through, like, you know, just throwaway little moments in most of the movies.
Right.
So, and I got a hunch it's probably not going to be cosmic, the next big thing that comes through now that we've finished with Thanos. So, I don't know. Nobody knows.
Well, now that they have the Fantastic Four, the next thing they could have come through is Galactus.
So I was wondering about that. Do you think the best thing to do with the Fantastic Four to actually be have them characters from the 60s? Because it seems like the Fantastic Four struggle to work in a modern context, whereas in that Cold War era, they seem to click a lot better. Like, and them being you know, travelers and explorers anyway. Is it better if they just straight up come from the 60s? This is just mindless speculation at my point, but I grow weary of the gun talk.
I'd have to think about that.
I'm not 100% sure on that, just because I kind of feel like the first movies were a little more on the hokey side, and then they tried to go a complete opposite direction with the Fan Stick 4.
Fan Stick 4.
You know, where they were trying to make it more dark and gritty and
stupid.
Yeah, like
that's not just the films. Like, a lot of good comic writers have struggled to capture a modern take on the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like Spider-Man where, you know, it just kind of works, where the themes are so universal that realistically, it's hard to write a bad Spider-Man story. I've read enough of them. You know, there's few terrible Spider-Man stories where there's not it's much harder to get a hold of the Fantastic Four, you know?
Agreed. So, yeah, maybe. I mean, in the 60s, it was all about looking to the stars and exploring, and a lot of people don't care about that stuff anymore.
Because we did it. We got to the moon. You know, like, that's...
Well, we got to the moon, and that's it. We didn't really...
Well, I mean, that's the big thing, though. You know, even, I think we look back on that as, you know, oh, yeah, we landed on the moon. I mean, like, 100 years ago, if you said, oh, they're going to land on the moon in this century, people would look at you like you're crazy.
Yeah.
Like, but that was kind of the end of the space race. We won the space race, and we all, for the last 50 years, we've been like, all right, cool. You know?
Right.
Space Force is coming, though.
Oh, God. I think not.
So then, still sticking with Disney here and Marvel, I thought this was interesting. The reason I included it, we've kind of talked about this a little bit before, but Disney has strict rules for Marvel Studios, and it's not just Marvel Studios; it's all the movie companies that they work with. Apparently, they're the most strict with Marvel. And there are things that, people have always said and speculated, but here they are written down. Some of them being things like, they have to create fake scripts and work in windowless rooms so that things don't get out. Which I find interesting because stuff has gotten out about the movies.
Not a lot, though.
Not a lot, but if you look, you can find stuff here and there.
I mean, they kept the fact that Hulk was not in Infinity War Part 1 pretty quiet.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Right down to some of the promos having the Hulk in the background when they're driving across Wakanda.
Yes. Of course, another big one is everyone involved with movies must maintain a Disney image on and off screen. So,
yeah, we haven't seen a lick of blood in most of the movies. It's like,
what also kind of raises the question, like, and look, I'm not trying to take anything away from any of these actors, but when a movie's coming out and all of a sudden, Tom Holland shows up at a children's hospital, or Chris Evans is donating money to something and his time to some charity, it's like, is that them or is that the Disney PR people saying, like, go do this event?
I think it's a little column A, a little column B.
Yeah.
I mean, at the very least, Disney has to have some involvement because it's probably in their contracts that they're not allowed to portray the character without permission.
True. That's probably true as well.
I don't know if it's coordinated, but I imagine it's highly encouraged.
Right. Of course, another big one is no competing release dates in the same month. So if, like, Pixar has a movie coming out in October, there can't be a Marvel movie coming out in October.
That just makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, that's just good business sense.
Yeah.
Don't compete with yourself. This is a silly one, but straightforward, no smoking. But that, of course, means we will never see Wolverine or Ben Grimm light up a cigar.
Or the Human Torch.
At the moment, they're still not in the universe. But that Marvel's been like that Marvel itself has been like that for the last 15 years now?
Something like that.
Since whenever Quesada took over.
Yeah.
Does that mean we're going to see Robbie the Robot in the Fantastic Four? Because, Human Torch, he smokes.
What up?
I'm just going to let that one sit there.
And stink.
And die.
Now this one is also interesting. Disney has final say on all of the Easter eggs in the movies.
That's fun, dude. Look, you know what that's because? That's because of the Little Mermaid.
Those weren't Easter eggs.
No. And of course they want cross property promotion, which is why Ultron sang Pinocchio's "I've Got No Strings on Me," and Spider-Man makes all those references to The Empire Strikes Back. Like, that wasn't done just for fun. Like, it was specific,
I don't know if it was encouraged, because Spider-Man also, like, they lifted a scene from Alien in Infinity War, but,
right.
That's not Disney.
No.
But yeah, I imagine it's encouraged.
You can't imagine that they were forced to put those in. I mean, anybody can make those references in any movie. They don't have to have permission to reference them. So, but if they were to
Song
get
you do.
involved with forcing references into scripts like that, I can't see it.
I imagine, like I said, I imagine stuff is encouraged. I know you do it. If you're singing a song, you do have to have permission from the rights holder. But like in Ultron, the use of the Pinocchio song, well, that just worked and was great.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I wish the movie lived up to those trailers.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, and I don't think it's forced. I think it's more or less, though, they probably do have a final say. Oh, and of course, apparently all the hands being chopped off, you know, in reference to The Empire Strikes Back, all through Phase 2, I believe it was. You guys are being quiet. You know about that, right?
Wait, what's
in every Marvel movie in Phase 2, somebody loses a hand. And it's an homage to Empire Strikes Back.
Well,
Huh?
Well, wait a minute.
You're hung me. You didn't know this?
In every animated movie, every hero loses a parent. So, okay.
Wait.
In every Marvel Phase 2 movie, some character loses a hand.
Okay, look. I did not know that. I have to look this up.
And it's an homage to Empire Strikes Back.
That's hysterical. How come I haven't heard this yet?
Oh my God, you guys didn't know this? Wow.
No! How?
You heard it here first. I've blown their minds.
No, we've heard it first. Our listeners have probably heard it 561st.
Oh, well, that's true. They're smarter than us. Well, smarter than us.
Well, at least more connected. Younglings.
And of course, no beheadings.
Well,
that seems
okay.
That seems pretty straightforward. No DC movies, meaning if you're contracted to work at Marvel, you cannot go across the street and work on a DC movie.
That also makes sense.
So, yeah.
That's okay. None of them would want to work on a DC movie once they've been with a Marvel movie. You know?
Yeah, that's true. And apparently there is a secret van and immediate shoots. So, like, there's a Disney van that'll come and pick them up, the actor, to take them to their set to shoot, and they don't know what scene they're shooting that day. And do
they get blindfolded too when they get thrown into the van? Does the van say it has candy in it?
There's a tear-stained mattress in the back. Yes, all that. So yeah. I mean, that's about it. I mean, of course, they have to be on call 24/7. Meaning like if they need them for reshoots, they have to come right away. If they need them to do a celebrity charity thing, they have to come right away. They're basically on retainer. So
that
makes sense.
Yeah. So who wants to work on a Marvel movie?
Oh,
so you avoid the mustache fiasco.
Yeah, that's true too.
The van. It's a Pizza Planet truck. That's what it is.
Oh my God.
That's the one that they take you up.
But has no basement.
Sorry.
All right. Well, that's all the Disney news we have for this week. Unless you guys have, Marvel news. Unless you guys have something I don't know about.
No. Oh, but there is some interesting news. There was a lawsuit about the title Comic-Con that was just
we'll get to
lost.
That.
Okay.
Let's go through DC really fast.
ESO does not read the emails.
I know.
Which email is it? Oh! I didn't.
So let's go to DC real fast. So Troy James was announced this past week is cast as Ragdoll on season 5 of The Flash. He was an America's Got Talent winner as a contortionist. He's been in a couple other things, and yeah.
That's pretty cool. They used somebody like that in an old X-Files show, if I remember correctly.
Oh, I'm sure.
The one where The one where it was the guy like flattening himself out and going through pipes to get in and assassinate people.
I'm fairly certain they did this specifically because someone watched that.
Yeah,
someone saw this dude and goes, "Oh, we can make him ragdoll."
Yeah.
Probably. He was in the Ragdoll, whose real name is Peter Merkel, is a triple-jointed son of a carny who fell into the life of crime. He was introduced in Flash Comics in 1942. So.
Pretty cool.
Yes. All right. We have some other casting news as well. Anthony, I'm going to mess this up, Canensi joins the cast of Supergirl as Agent Jensen. So he's going to be on season 4 of Supergirl in a recurring role. They basically describe the character as somebody who's working for the DEO, who's having trouble finding his place, blah, blah, blah. What stuck out to me was they don't tell you his first name, but he's Agent Jensen, which begs the question for me, are they bringing back Parasite? Because Parasite's name is Maxwell Jensen from the comics. So, what do you guys...
It'd be neat if they brought Parasite in, if they do it well. Like I said, the scripts for Supergirl have been very hit or miss.
Right. Well, they had a version of Parasite on episode.
Yeah, a version.
Yeah, and I believe he was killed off. So.
Yeah, and we know this is he, but everybody's around the fact that you've only got the effects budget.
Well, that's true too.
I mean, God, was it Hercules and Xena did it 20 years ago, and if they could do it.
True. This is very true.
I can use that right here.
No?
If JD doesn't have anything to say about it.
I got nothing.
Okay. Arrow, Supergirl, and the Flash's Batwoman crossover is also going to have Lois Lane in it.
Oh yeah, I read that. That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry. I thought we didn't talk about that yet. Yeah, so they're introducing Lois Lane. They've got Superman.
Did they announce who's playing Lois Lane yet?
Not that I've seen, no.
No. So, does that mean...
They're casting her right now, actually.
Cool.
And then we're also going to be getting Batwoman. Are we eventually going to get Batman on any of these shows?
I just want to see, Supergirl walking down a street, and in the background, somebody turns the corner with a gun in their hand to bug her, and sees just Batman's arm reach out, grab him, and drag him into the alley.
Right, exactly.
It's all that alone would probably make it one of the highest rated episodes ever.
I literally don't know if they can though.
I know,
especially because Gotham is still on.
I know, and we're getting little boy Batman on there,
which is so weird.
Wait, have you guys been watching that?
No. I saw a video for a preview for the season, and he's basically in the full costume at this point. It's like, really?
I thought they said they'd never do that.
Yeah, and people stopped watching.
It's amazing how quickly you go back on your morals when money's on the line.
True.
So,
well, okay then.
So here's something I found interesting. Speaking of wonderful things that DC does, Joaquin Phoenix in an interview came out and said that he is not fazed by fan expectations for the Joker. He said he could care less. I don't really think that much about what people think. Who cares? My approach to every movie is the same. What I'm interested in is the filmmaker and the idea of the character. So, that could be good and that could be bad, right? It could be good because then he's just going to do his own take on the character.
I think when it comes to acting, it has to be like that.
Right.
Actors can't be fanboys. They have to, especially like Joaquin. That dude is plastic. He really does his own thing. He's kind of he might not be as successful, but I think he's a close thing that his generation has to Marlon Brando as far as how he approaches material and just his general disposition on life and the business. I really like him. I'm still not a fan of this whole Joker movie idea. I think it's too much. I think you need to have different interpretations of the Joker, especially that character. And as an actor, I don't want him pandering. You know?
Right.
Joaquin Phoenix will not be a dude going to children's hospitals dressed up.
No, not at all. And if I will say this, if he came out and was like, "Oh yeah, this is good," I know that the people are going to love this portrayal of the Joker. It's the best thing, well, because I think didn't Leto say some stuff like that?
He might have.
I think he was like, I think people are going to be excited on this interpretation of the Joker, and you know, we got what we got.
He was wrong.
So it's probably best to say, like, it's to either stay out of the spotlight right now while you're filming, or if you have to do interviews, just say, like, I'm just going to do my own thing and we'll see what happens. So, yeah, okay.
Hey, you don't want a pander playing that character anyway.
No.
You know?
No, definitely not. I mean, it's a tough character to pander with.
Yeah.
Speaking of tough characters, John.
No, I'm sorry. I'm not going to take part in this.
So this article is included just for John. Longtime listeners of the show know that he has a.
I can already tell you what the soundtrack is going to be.
Has a blood feud with Hans Zimmer, and Hans Zimmer is
the blood coming out of my ears feud. Thank you.
Hans Zimmer, who not that long ago said he wasn't going to work on superhero movies anymore, has now said he's doing the soundtrack for Wonder Woman 84.
Well, I repeat, there's only, your morals go down the tubes when you need money.
It's because Wonder Woman was the only DC movie that did well, and so he has to come back and make sure he ruins it.
But I don't know.
I think you're a little hard. I think you're a little extreme on this one.
I have rage in my heart.
I hear that.
Yeah, but he created that original Wonder Woman theme that everyone likes with the guitar.
It's still like one note.
He's a minimalist. He's like Philip Glass.
Minimalist.
Oh my god.
He's the minimalist. He's just, not one memorable theme.
So we'll look forward to that.
Look forward. Define that.
I don't know. I don't have an issue with his music from the Dark Knight movies.
Yeah, I agree. I like the Dark Knight soundtrack.
Well, yeah, as background noise, but you can't. I'm telling you, I've seen the first and second movie a number of times. I can't remember the tune.
I think that's the point. I don't think they're trying to do I think he's kind of the anti-John Williams.
Exactly, that's the problem.
Well, I mean, but I think that's what he's going for, to be honest with you.
Well, good job. You did it. But
we should celebrate successes.
All right. Well, we'll look forward to that when it comes out. Other news real quick. I shared this article today, and this got the most reactions of anything I've tweeted in a long time. Yes. Dominic,
you better tweet. You need to tweet better things.
Dominic Monghan. Some might remember him from Lost. He was also Merry on the Lord of the Rings movies. Has joined the cast of Star Wars Episode 9.
He looks familiar.
I just said
he's done some stuff.
I just said what he was, John.
I haven't watched.
It's one thing you don't read the emails, but you gotta pay attention when I'm talking.
Well, I never. Are you kidding me? I go nuts if that happened. Isn't he the voice of? He's not the voice of the Geico Gecko, is he?
I don't think so. Wait, he looks. Whoa! He looks familiar. Is he the voice of the Gecko Gecko?
What the hell?
Think about that. Your voice looks familiar.
Never mind. That was Jake Wood. No, I know his voice from. His voice looks familiar to me. So, I'm sorry. That's the only way I can explain it.
His voice looks familiar to me.
I smelled the dude once, and I'm like, you know what? We've met before. I looked him in the eyes, and I'm like, your scent is familiar.
I don't know. I'm sorry. Hey, you're the one who wants me on this podcast. This is the way mine works, okay?
Does it?
Sniffed a man in Reno just to watch him die.
Define works.
Well, I think science is on that.
So anyway, a lot of people seem to like him. That doesn't say what character he's playing. Of course, it's another Disney thing.
Star Wars. Disney.
Yeah.
We ain't gonna learn crap.
But people seem to be excited about him being in the movie, so.
Well, he's got some nerd movie credit, so. I'm kind of curious some of the casting choices they made for this one. I find it interesting. I do think they're going to do some different stuff with it. You know, I'm a big Kerry Russell fan. The Americans is a cool show.
Right.
Richard E. Grant, Lupita Nyong'o. I mean, there's some cool people in this movie that surprises me.
Well, the coolest of them all is in the movie.
Billy
exactly. That's all you need to know.
Cool.
I mean, Billy D's back. Who cares about anything else? Just go see it.
He's probably going to die because that's just what they're doing with the old
Don't
characters.
Stop.
Oh, no. Okay. No, JD's right.
That's why they're bringing him back. They have to kill him now, too.
His symbolism. You know?
They're all dead. That's symbolic.
Well, I mean, yeah, but that's the kind of heavy-handed storytelling they're doing now. It's
for sure.
It's not just I'm passing the torch and I'm going to go retire and then maybe show up later a little bit. It's I'm going to get killed just maliciously and, no chance of return.
100%. That's totally what's going to happen.
You guys are killing everyone.
Ain't going to fool me for the third time.
Oh, so John, I forgot to ask. Did you get anything interesting in the mail this week?
I got an ear. Are you? No, I haven't gotten them yet, but I think I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the passes, right?
Yeah, I just got mine today. Got press passes to New York Comic Con.
I better get mine. I paid for a hotel.
So yeah, we're going.
I still can't believe that we got them. So I'm still a little bit nervous until I actually have the passes in hand.
So yeah, we're going to as press this year to New York Comic Con, or are we? We might be going to New York Expo.
Yeah, the New York Entertainment Expo and comic shop.
So, in news that kind of hits our world a little bit here, Salt Lake Comic Con, San Diego Comic Con went after Salt Lake Comic Con, saying they infringed on their what's the right word? Their brand.
Trademark?
They're not really. I don't know if it's trademarked, but they're saying that they're doing brand damage to them because they're calling their convention a Comic-Con, and San Diego's like, we're the only ones allowed to use that. And so this week, a judge said, yeah, that's right. They're the only ones that can use it.
Yeah, it's trademarked. And I'm sorry, this is the height of stupidity. Comic-Con, comic convention. What else is anybody going to abbreviate it to? Come on.
Comic-Convo.
Well, or like Wizard World, and I wonder if this is the reason why Wizard World was trying to rebrand Philly Comic Con as the Wizard World Entertainment Expo.
Mm-hmm. Probably,
but this is still stupid. This is like trying to trademark a smiley.
Someone has a trademark on
that. Well, yeah, it was. What was the name of that thing? It was Disturbed.com or something like that, or. I forget, but yeah, it's stupid.
Yeah, but
what else are you gonna call them?
The Comic-Con.
Well, that's like so our friends over at So Wizard just were at the Boston Fan Expo 2018, which it used to be called Boston Comic Con, and they changed their name to Fan Expo. I believe, if I remember correctly, 2 years ago, there was a Comic-Con in Texas maybe in Houston that changed their name to Fan Expo. So,
Combo Con.
Combo Con. Oh, it was Despair.com that tried to trademark the frowny face.
I mean, I just find it interesting because it's like con was just an abbreviation for convention, and
right?
And it just feels like, I mean, logically, it feels like you're trying to copyright or trademark language.
Pat Riley has the trademark on the word three-peat.
Really?
And doesn't, I thought maybe I think Stephen Colbert has a trademark on truthiness.
Could be.
I've used the term three-peat. Do I owe him money?
Only if you try to sell it.
Oh, okay.
You put it on a shirt, you owe Pat Riley money.
But if these were the rules in play way back in the Middle Ages, the descendants of Shakespeare would be suing just literally almost everybody.
That's true. So, Shakespeare invented a lot of words.
Yeah.
If you believe Shakespeare was one person.
Yeah. I just had this conversation last night. So, but yes, but the thing is that this is. I'm sorry. This is probably going to go up the chain of our judicial system until somebody with a smidgen of reason looks at it and goes, "This is stupid. Get out of my court."
Well, I don't know.
I don't mean like you. But the thing is, like, that's how trademark works. If you can prove that you make money on it and you have owned it it's been yours for a long time, like it is confusion in the marketplace.
But it also has to be unique and special. And comic convention.
Yeah, but the San Diego Comic-Con has proven itself to be, that's the one reason I think this works, is because San Diego has proven itself to be unique and special. Like, it is the Comic-Con, and now it's officially the Comic-Con, you know?
So actually, you know what? Let's talk about an example that actually hits very close to home. Do you guys know the name of this podcast? It's Superhero Speak, but it's not superhero one word. It's two separate words. And it wasn't because I was stupid when I was putting together everything.
Who owns? Okay, now this is curious. Who owns the trademark to the phrase superhero? I'm interested to learn this.
It's DC or Marvel, isn't it?
It's gone back and forth quite a few times, and I think it's currently DC owns it.
Yeah.
Huh. Are they the first ones to ever use the term superhero?
I believe so.
Fascinating. So, okay, based on that, could you call it a Comic-Con? So it'd be like COMICON.
No, Comic-Con!
Or Comic-Con, yeah, like throwing it like Kublai or Numi Singh, you know, I think.
Yeah, you just have to have a Star Trek person at every show, and you should be fine.
Well, they're pretty much it. There pretty much is.
Yes.
Right. You're safe.
I think you could work around this and be very creative.
Yeah. And then there's people who are arguing that Comic-Con is what they own. So if you do Comic-Con as two separate words,
you probably get away with that.
Yeah, with a period on the end of con, right? Because
or just that dash. That dash is what's if they can prove that that's what that dash is what makes it special,
right?
You know,
it's not used by anybody else.
So
there's ways around it. Silly though they may be.
Language is such an interesting thing.
No,
copywritten language isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. The U.S. trademark and copyright laws are an interesting thing.
I think I'm getting "Don't Let Your Cape Caught in the Door" copyrighted.
You should.
Yeah, trademark.
All right, real quick. Now we're really out of time, but I wanted to do this anyway. So we don't have an audience question this week, boys and girls. Again, if you want to send us a question, slide into our DMs or email us and give us a question for the week. So I came up with a question, and this is one that's been floating around on the internet for a long time, but I always thought it was fun. If the Avengers was made in the 1980s, who would you cast in the main roles? So I thought with
my wife and I spent like an hour talking about this before the show. This was our dinner conversation.
Good. See, you're prepared. I'm prepared. John.
We can go first and let John just think about it for a little bit.
All right. So let's start with Iron Man.
Who's going first? I'll go.
You
first.
go first.
Tom freaking Selleck.
Okay.
Oh.
Now, do you have any reasoning behind that, or you just like Tom Selleck?
He's got a sweet ass mustache, like that Tony Stark had in the 80s.
All right. I'll give.
To be fair, Magnum PI was a fantastic show, and I could easily see him playing the 80s version of Tony Stark.
You know they're rebooting that, right?
Yeah, I saw the trailer. That actually was the next part of the conversation with my wife, and we watched the Jay Hernandez 4-minute trailer on YouTube. I don't know. So pop culture is meant to recycle itself. It's like the old country buffet, man. You go there every day, you're going to get something, but it's a little bit different because it's a little bit older.
I went unconventional with this because a lot of people do pick Tom Selleck to be the Iron Man. And it's maybe because I'm binge watching this show right now, and I just see the character he plays in the show that I'm watching with slight tweaks could be Iron Man, especially in an 80s movie, and that's Ted Danson.
Huh,
and remember,
really?
Ted Danson from the 80s, not Ted Danson today.
Are you talking Cheers?
Yeah, Sam Malone, right.
Yeah, Sam Malone I can see that.
Overconfident, cocky, a womanizer. Yeah.
I could see that. But lovable at the same time.
Yes.
A character that I don't think the Sam Malone character in today's environment would come off quite as well.
Right.
No.
But in the context of the 80s, it worked really well. I could see it. That's a good call.
And you, John?
Oh my God. You could, I mean, I hate to even put this forward, but Tom Cruise.
That almost happened.
Yes.
I know. But if you're talking about the 80s, that would have been about the right time for that to have really happened.
My only issue with Tom Cruise is
your only.
He's not lovable.
I also want Ted Danson because he's a little older, even in the 80s, you know.
I agree with that.
So he's kind of the mature character, in a lot of ways, especially in the Avengers movie. So that's kind of, again, but yeah, I could see a lot of people say Tom Cruise as well. All right, now Thor. This should be a fun one. I'll go first this time. The most obvious choice, and I know it was too easy, but Dolph Lundgren as Thor.
Yeah. Damn it.
See, I thought about that, and I thought that... Go ahead. I won't interrupt you. My mistake.
No. Just, again, he's the obvious choice. He's the big, strong guy, long blonde hair, played He-Man, so of course he could play a Thor.
See, I thought that too, but I went for the actual. Why buy RC Cola when you can have Coke?
Oh,
and
geez.
I went with Arnold Schwarzenegger. I know people oh, come on. But I mean, you think about, the late 80s, Arnold Schwarzenegger, the dude that was in Twins,
mm-hmm.
When he started showing, some charisma and some actual talent. There was a streak when Arnold was making some pretty decent movies in the late 80s and early 90s that were more than him just walking around like Conan. So I think that if you have that Hemsworth take on Thor where he's, the big Nordic strong guy along with having some personality, I think Schwarzenegger could have pulled that off 30 years ago.
Okay. I mean, I don't know. I look at Schwarzenegger's acting chops, but again, 80s it would have made sense. That's exactly who you put in that role.
They would have written it around that.
Right.
And he can do some great one-liners and be funny. Dude, Twins holds up.
Yeah.
To be quite frankly. So does Kindergarten Cop. Some funny stuff in that.
John?
I was gonna go with Ivan Drago too. But mostly because he's got acting chops that nobody seems to understand. He's also probably one of the smarter people on the planet.
Yes.
And his his speech impediment wouldn't have been as bad as. It's kind of funny that everybody you can think of to play Thor couldn't really speak English back in the 80s. But he probably spoke better English than Arnold Schwarzenegger did at that point.
All right. How about Captain America? JD.
So this was tough, but I had to think about who in the 1980s could really evoke that Americana thing for me. And I went back and forth on this, and my wife kind of nailed it. She said, and I like this one, Kevin Costner.
Oh, God.
Oh, wow.
Ray Kinsella as Steve Rogers. I'm doubling down on that one.
Go ahead.
I don't know. You could have picked a wooden board, too.
Oh, Kevin Costner's awesome, man.
I didn't know. See, I like that. I didn't even think Costner. I like that. And he would have been the right age. Yeah, that would have worked.
Thank you.
Dang it. All right. I was having a hard time with this, and I wanted someone who I felt I liked as an actor, and I thought could pull off a leading role like that. And he kind of disappeared after the RoboCop movies, but Peter Weller.
Oh, I think he hasn't disappeared. He's a professor.
Yes.
Of I think it's art history at Syracuse.
Right. But I meant he disappeared from acting.
Yeah. Yes, this is why.
Yes.
You ever see The Naked? He was in The Naked Lunch.
Yes.
Weird movie.
Very strange movie. So yeah.
I dig it. I like Peter Weller.
John.
Rob Lowe.
What?
You went with a creepy Canadian to play Captain America?
Well, yeah, he's got those blue eyes. He could pull off the good boy, the Boy Scout thing pretty well.
In the 80s?
Do you know who Rob Lowe is?
I wasn't gonna pick John Cusack, but
I guess he doesn't smell familiar to you.
Rob Lowe made some questionable decisions in the 80s as far as...
This is true, he did.
His penis and all.
Well, that was subtle.
Well, he wasn't exactly subtle.
Well, you've got an interesting cast so far, John.
Oh, God. Okay.
All right, Bruce Banner Hulk. To me, there's only one 80s star who could possibly pull off Bruce Banner.
Mickey Rourke?
Oh my God. Jeff Goldblum.
Oh my God.
I didn't think of that.
Really?
Yeah,
well, actually,
Brundlefly?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Oh, think about it, think of Fly, think of Jurassic Park, and that era, Jeff Goldblum, and boom, put him in as Bruce Banner.
Okay.
How about you, JD?
I went Jeff Bridges as Bruce Banner.
Jeff Bridges. I'm trying to think. He was. Well, he's old.
Starman.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he was paid to not act in that.
See, I don't know, man. I think Jeff Bridges is pretty good, and I think he could have done the aloof, especially the doctor. We get a comedic Dr. Banner nowadays.
Yeah.
But I mean, that wasn't the Banner that existed in especially the Peter David stuff.
Mm-hmm. No, that's true. Yeah. How about you, John? I'm afraid to ask.
I'm afraid to tell you. Bruce Banner. Emilio Estevez?
Oh my God.
Are you just picking names at random? Do you have an 80s name generator on your computer?
No.
Oh my God, he does.
No, I don't.
I was kidding. Do you seriously?
No, I don't.
Okay. Hawkeye.
That could be anybody.
Kurt freaking Russell.
Oh my God.
Russell.
I actually had picked Kurt Russell. I had put him on there originally. Like at first I was thinking Captain America, and I'm like, no, it doesn't really. Kurt Russell 80s doesn't work for Captain America for me.
No, I agree with that. But it's like the Jack Burton is totally Clint Barton.
Yeah, and so I had him at Hawkeye. It's a really good choice. I wanted to go different, and I went Christopher Lambert.
That was different.
Yes.
You're afraid of my choices?
That was really out there. I respect that pick.
Oh, you respect his pick, but my picks are weird.
Because you're just pulling stuff. You're just saying the first 80s guy that comes to your head. You had Rob Lowe as Captain America.
I'm not. I'm picking the second one.
He was like 23 and from Canada.
I see. So
Christopher Lambert that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, because I think, you know, I was thinking of the Highlander movies and how, like, that was I mean, as much as people love those movies, it was an odd, kind of ridiculous premise, you know?
Ridiculous, completely ridiculous.
Right.
But awesome.
So, who's Hawkeye? He's the guy with the bow and arrow while all these gods are around him fighting. So he's surrounded by a ridiculous premise. So that's kind of...
And that's why I thought of Kurt Russell.
Yes.
As like the Jack Burton.
Exactly. So we had the same line of thinking, just we ended up with different actors.
Polar ends of the spectrum. Yes. But I like that.
And you're Hawkeye, John.
Kathleen Turner.
Hold on. Let me put this in the generator. And the answer is Ben Kingsley.
Oh my God.
He is a chameleon. He can do anything.
He could. I mean, the other one was Justine Bateman. So.
Oh my God.
Side note, Jason Bateman could have been a decent Hawkeye at one point.
No, I said Justine Bateman.
I know, but side note. Her brother Jason could have done the role at one point in his career.
Oh my God. John's Avengers. All right. Now, Black Widow, of course.
This was tough.
You have to pick a strong leading female from the 80s who I feel is not only attractive but can kick butt. So
see, I was thinking about this, and there weren't a whole lot of those type of roles in the 80s.
Right.
You know, this was a tough one. I think I know where you're going, and I'm mad at myself that I didn't think of it. But go ahead.
So there are two women that came to my mind right away, and I ended up going with Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah, that's what I thought you were going to say.
How about you, JD?
Robin Wright.
Really?
Yeah.
It's an interesting...
She's good. And like, again, I had a hard... This was the one I took the longest to think about. Because I couldn't think of... I can't believe I missed Sigourney Weaver now that you say that. But there's not a whole lot of those type of... There weren't a whole lot of those type of roles available to female actresses in the 80s. So I try to think of who kind of evokes the same kind of like talent to me that Scarlett Johansson does in these movies. Like who could have done those things if asked to, and who has the presence and the talent to do that. And I was thinking about how she is in House of Cards today, and then I thought about her as young and youthful and, you know, attractive when she was, you know, super young in The Princess Bride. And I'm like, you know what? There's something there. I think she could have done it.
So then I'm shocked you didn't think of Arnold Schwarzenegger's co-star from the two Terminator movies.
I did. No, I did. Linda Hamilton didn't. That's the one I thought of. But I mean, I just don't see her as Black Widow. You know, like
right.
She's an ass whooper. Like, you know, by Terminator 2, like she's a tank. Like that's not Black Widow. Like she's stealthy.
Right. I mean that was the thing. It went down to the two of them for me, and I'm like, yeah, no, Sigourney Weaver gets it.
Of that, yeah. And I was trying to think of what actress could I buy being trained as a ballerina to kill.
Right.
And that's where I came up with Robin Wright, because that made sense to me, and I don't know why.
John?
This should be good. Richard Pryor.
Well, the first one that came up was always wrong. Kiefer Sutherland couldn't have done that. But, Demi Moore.
I don't hate that pick.
No, I don't.
I wonder if she was too
Well,
young.
let me try harder then. Sorry.
No, you think she might have been too young in the 80s to play that, though?
Well, it's either that or Melissa Gilbert.
What?
Melissa Gilbert?
Melissa Gilbert?
From Little House on the Prairie, Melissa Gilbert?
She's had other roles.
I love it. Melissa Gilbert as Black Widow.
I got nothing.
Oh my god. You have to picture her in like the little House on the Prairie outfit, fighting a Russian mob.
Laura Ingalls Romanoff.
I mean, runner-up would be Jennifer Connelly, but she already had her chance.
And finally, we get to cast the villain, the one and only Loki. We'll let John go first this time.
Oh my god. You know who? See, depends on how old they'd have to be. Keanu Reeves could have done it.
Really?
I could say Kirk Cameron, but that's only because he's a villain in real life anyway. No.
Oh my goodness.
I know my picks are just awful.
Okay, JD.
Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton. Interesting choice.
He can be comedic and very, very dark.
Yeah, and he's proved that. He has proved it with beyond a doubt.
He's so much better than I think people give him either remember or give him credit for. Because like he could do the off the wall zany Beetlejuice stuff. And if you ever saw Clean and Sober, which I believe came out the same year as Beetlejuice, he can do dark.
Well, just look what he did in Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Yeah,
that one
great,
scene
man.
in the car. Yeah. Jeez, we'll talk about menace.
Yeah, he's fantastic. He's one of the most underrated actors of this particular generation. And he did a lot. He worked a lot. Don't get me wrong, but he kind of got casted playing one version of pigeonholed in one version of Johnny Dangerously or another. With the exception, people freaked out when he played Batman, but he was fine. Like I think that Michael Keaton could have done anything, and I think that he would have had the weight to pull off the villain. Especially in an '80s film where the villains kind of carry the load of the movie. So I think he had the chops and the talent to do it. And plus, who wouldn't want to see him in my movie, Schwarzenegger as brothers?
All right. Adopt it. But anyway.
Of course, adopt it.
Wow. Okay. So you guys both want American actors. See, my mind went, well, he's British, Tom Hiddleston, so the 80s Loki had to be British as well. Weird, huh? And of course, a couple months.
Well, that's because a British accent equals foreign to us for some reason.
That's true. All foreign people in American films are British.
Yes, especially the evil ones.
So
Chinese people in movies have British accents.
So a lot of ideas kept rolling around in my head, and I could only land on one, and that was Alan Rickman.
I could dig that. That'd have been fun. That'd have been a lot of fun, actually.
Yes.
The Metatron? Huh. Okay.
Wow, that's the first thing you think of with Alan Rickman.
Not Snape or Hans Gruber.
He's my favorite sheriff of Nottingham.
There you go.
Oh, he is. Yeah. Definitely. That would have been my second way of remembering him. But
wow, you need help, John. Speaking of help, so we're going to end this week's episode with a bonus interview Another person you interviewed, John, at the Wizard World Philly this year, and that's Alton Simpson, with the writer and creator of the book Vampires of New Jersey. Does that sound familiar to anyone?
Yes, and he was there actually in the basement. They were, I guess there were a couple of studios that were letting people pitch to them. So he was there pitching his stories to see if he could get them onto the screen, which is pretty cool. And the basic gist of it is the mob versus the vampires. So,
interesting.
Yeah, it is actually really interesting. So, here you go. Let him explain it better than I can at this point.
Right.
Alrighty. All right. So, we're on. So, this is John from Superhero Speak, and I am here with Alton Simpson. And you have a comic book called Vampires of New Jersey. Yep. Which caught my eye, and when I walked over and you explained it to me, it sounded even more interesting. Cool. It's the Mafia versus the Vampires.
Yeah, Mafia versus Vampire mashup. So kind of like True Blood versus The Sopranos.
Mm-hmm. And how long have you been doing comics? This has been around for how long now?
Well, I wrote this script about 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a filmmaker, and I was looking for ways to block the scenes and develop it out so people can get a better understanding of what you write. And I looked for an artist. I happened to get a Marvel artist, Mahathir Bwang, who drew Silver Surfer. And he actually just saw my ad online, and he took an interest in the idea. He liked the concept. And then once he got the script, he said, I'd like to work on this. And that was the beginning.
Well, that's lucky.
Yeah, I was, very.
And I talked to you yesterday. Now, I passed you by in the hall.
Yep.
And you were waiting outside a room. We're here at the Wizard Comic-Con in Philadelphia, 2018.
Mm-hmm.
And you were going to pitch your idea.
Yeah.
So what's that process like, and what were you pitching for?
Well, it's called the Wizard World Pitch Fest.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually didn't know about it until another guy, Joe Cielo Jr., who I meet, he's also doing comics. He told me, he said, well, they're doing this pitch fest. Your thing's a script. You should probably do it. So you submit your concept of whatever it is you think would be made into a movie through Columbia Pictures, which is a branch of Sony now. And I've done pretty extensive with the artist, character drawings, character descriptions, a lot of data to submit to them. It looked good as a skeleton to shoot a movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I've shot movies before that have gotten into Philadelphia Film Festival, and I have movies that stream on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
So I know the process pretty well. So I kind of put a book together with not just my information, but statistics from my Facebook site, which has 30,000 followers right now.
Okay.
Of people that actually are not mostly in New Jersey, just so they know, hey, if we do a movie, it'll be something people want to see outside of New Jersey. And a lot of stats for the people that actually are on the page liking what I do. So that was pretty much the process. You saw me sweating it out in the hallway.
Yeah.
Then you go in. I sat down with two representatives from Columbia, and it was pretty relaxed. I think they didn't want to make people any more nervous than they were, because it's pretty nerve-wracking pitching to Columbia. They're the fourth largest film studio in the world. They actually signed Rita Hayworth for people who are older like me, and the Three Stooges for people that like the Stooges, which I was surprised when I was doing my research.
Oh.
So I tried to give them enough statistics so that they would be comfortable. I mean, horror movies make a huge profit in Hollywood. They're actually the most profitable films because they're usually shot at a minimal, without big stars, and they turn a profit.
Now, you've been to the pitch process before?
Yeah, I took my films out to the American Film Market in Santa Monica. They have it every year. It's basically distributors from all over the world. There's companies from China, from Europe, from Russia, and the U.S. And you pitch them your movie. They're looking more for done movies than scripts. So I've done at least 4 features that are screened. So that's why I went out.
And you've been over this a little bit so far, but I want to kind of shine a spotlight on what kind of things do you do to prepare for a pitch? Like, you said get all your Facebook stats and all that.
Yep.
Just to show interest in your project.
Yeah.
But what other things do you look for when you're going to make a pitch? I mean, and do you tailor it to the audience? Like, when you find out who they are,
that's the weird thing. You never know who you're going to be pitching to. So I said to myself, well, they're from Hollywood. I've been out there before, So I made a little bag. They like those goodie bags they get at the Oscars. So I said, well, I have merch that people are actually buying, merchandise. So I gave them, made a little bag with a T-shirt, a poster, and just some general information about me to give to them to take, for them to do whatever. But I also know Hollywood's about making money. And when they give you a substantial chunk of money, to me, anything substantial, because I'm an independent guy, they want to make sure they get a return. So I made sure, I'm actually finishing my doctorate right now, so I'm a research scientist, kind of. I made sure I gave them some pretty good facts that they could spend on this, and it wouldn't be exorbitant, but there's a market for it already.
Mm-hmm. And when you go through the process, now, there could be several different outcomes, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
They could either ask to buy your IP and your story, or they could invite you to be a part of the process.
Right.
What other outcomes are there?
Well, they could not do your project, which is frightening.
Well, yeah, okay. I'm saying good outcome.
With the process, to me, since I have written, my pitch was with me, I'm one of the few people you might talk to that has written a film, got a crew together, worked the camera, shot the film on locations, worked with people, edited. I taught myself how to do that. Got the film into a major film festival. This Philadelphia Independent Film Festival is one of the top 20 in the world. I didn't know that when I did it. I thought it was, you write a movie, you shoot it, and it gets in a film festival, and you're done.
And you got in.
Yeah. My other films haven't gotten in as quick, But and even after that, you got to support the film. You got to get people to see it other than the film festival. So I learned how to encode the technical concept to encode it for online to get it to Amazon Prime so that people could see it in the U.S. and other countries. So that's a kind of a long process. And when people come up with ideas, I try and encourage them to develop it as far out as you can think. If you write a story, maybe it'll make a good comic book. Maybe it'll make a good cartoon series. Maybe it'll make a musical. You don't know. I mean, they're turning things.
Well, we did have Spider-Man turn off the dark. So.
They're turning things into everything. So you kind of have to think to yourself, how many different ways would people enjoy this? So you don't limit yourself to just one way of thinking. Because media is kind of wide open now. I thought when I started back in 2004, you do something, you throw it on the web, and the whole world can see it. And with movies and music, every country has a different laws about how things are distributed. If I do a movie here and I put it up, they can't see it in the Czech Republic where my wife's from. I would have to find Amazon or some Czech distributor online to stream it. So it's kind of a complicated process, but at least you have a way of reaching more people.
All right. I have to ask, though, is there also the worry that they'll take your idea, not pay you for it?
That was the big worry. A couple people I know that do film, did comic books, didn't want to go because they were afraid they would steal the idea. And with me, with scripts, it's weird because I know guys, famous stories I've heard about scripts, the guy or woman would write it and then kind of bogart it and keep it quiet and only give it to select people because it's kind of a secret. You don't want your great script out there. With me, my comic book is in stores and on Comixology. So a lot of it is out there. If somebody wanted to do a story similar to mine, it's already in the public domain.
You have protection.
So the only thing I haven't done is I haven't put out my third issue, which is the finale of the first series of comics. So they don't know the end. So to me, I felt, I'm kind of out there already. If I pitch it and they make it, Vampires of Delaware or something, I can always say, hey, I'm honored that, I was imitated and at least I did something. But I've written a good number of scripts. About 4 years ago, I wrote 4 different types of things that will develop very nicely into comics and into movies. So, to be honest, I've got other ideas that I feel even more confident about than Vampires in New Jersey. This just happened to catch on. It's kind of weird because I did the comic. I went to my local comic store, which is Ron's Comics in Mount Holly, New Jersey. And I said, Ron, what do you think? And he said, this looks really good. This is good quality. Can I put it in the store? I was like, yeah, okay. Next day, a friend of mine texted me and said, dude, your comic is sold out. So it sold out about 4 times. So at that point, I felt like, hey, I kind of have something. People are kind of into it, And then I was contacted by a guy who does a local horror web show. And then I never thought of it as a horror thing. Even though it's vampires, I think of it more of as adventure fantasy with vampires mixed in.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another angle. So I'm going to do horror cons after this Comic Con. It's a whole different, so there's two ways I can sell it. So it's kind of wide open. You just have to think to yourself, what type of people would like this, and then kind of find them.
Do you have any advice for other creators that are thinking about going and doing a pitch?
Yeah, try and be thorough with thinking. Well, know who your audience is. I researched Columbia and what they've done. I like a lot of the stuff. I mean, they produced the Monkeys through Screen Gems. They own that too. So they do a lot of have done a lot of interesting things over the years. Know who you're talking to. Be as exact as you can about your idea. I mean, you don't want to make it too ethereal or too, out there. Make it so you can communicate it in simple terms. They always say have a 2-minute pitch, an elevator pitch.
Mm-hmm.
So try and get a decent tagline that can grab somebody's attention pretty quick and explain what you're doing, and then you can fill in the details as you go.
You're looking for something that you'll say, a tagline that they'll remember when they go home.
Yeah,
that day.
Hollywood's full of taglines.
Yeah.
This movie's Star Wars mixed with, Beverly Hills Cop. I mean, that's how they talk out there. So if you're going to actually talk to film companies, do it. Have something they can grab onto pretty quick to get their attention, and as you draw them in, you can explain more details. And also, copyright or patent or trademark as much of your stuff as you can.
Right.
That's the first thing I do. I write a script, and I copyright it before I do anything else.
Now,
I do music, too, so I copyright that also.
Having it on Comixology doesn't automatically mean you have a copyright, right?
No. There's the internet's weird because people have told me once you do it and you put it out, it's copyrighted because you did it, which there is a basic copyright belief in the United States court system that because you did it, you own it. But to protect yourself, send it to the U.S. copyright system. Send it either through mail or now they have it so you can upload it. Because when I do a movie, I usually do music with it. I actually score my films too. So I make sure I copyright everything as I'm doing it before I put it in the public domain.
Okay.
As best you can. Because you get excited when you come up with something new. You want to get it out.
Oh, yeah. But you do have to protect yourself. Because,
as much as you can.
Like you said, there are plenty of stories out there.
Yeah, it's a horror show. But, have a plan A, B, C, D, whatever it takes.
Right.
And just keep developing things as much as you can to where somebody in Hollywood could say, hey, that looks great. Just walk in and kind of pick it up and go. I mean, literally, I blocked this Vampires in New Jersey to the point where if they said, we're going to shoot next week, I have people that I work with in Philly and Jersey and New York that are ready to go. So,
well, now that we've gotten over the pitch part of it,
right?
The actual book itself, the vampires versus mafia or mob? Because I know the mob. Okay, so why would you? What gave you the idea to write a book about two different sets of bloodsuckers?
Good point. Should have thrown in politicians and lawyers after that, right?
No, we don't want to go that evil.
I was on the set when we were shooting my first full-length Who's Jose Luck that got into the Philadelphia Independent Film Festival. One of the guys came up to me, and he just started saying, dude, have you seen True Blood? And I was like, no. And he's like, it's really cool. It's all kinds of crazy stuff going on, and it's fun. You need to check it out. Well, I didn't check it out the entire run. And then after it went off the air, somebody gave me a DVD. I started checking it out, and I said, wow, these characters are very Southern. They're very, based in that area. What would happen if they showed up in New Jersey? What would a guy like Tony Soprano do? How would they interact? So that was kind of the genesis of the idea. Mixing the two genres to try and come up with something a little different.
Okay.
Because not that I don't love seeing the heroes that we have today and the stories we had, but I feel like we need to start mixing things up a little bit to try and do a twist on things.
Well, and I don't know if it was you I mentioned this to yesterday. It's kind of an old adage in filmmaking and stories where the bad guys are always more interesting.
Oh, yeah.
So if you have two sets of bad guys going after, it's one of those where, well, who am I rooting for?
Right.
Or it's just the train wreck effect where you can't turn away because what's going to happen is going to be absolutely horrible and glorious.
Yep,
but horrible.
That's a Thanos effect they'll be calling that now, probably.
Spoilers.
No. But yeah, you're right. I mean, the villains are given. Actors always say it's more fun playing the villains.
Yep.
They're given more to do. And their lines seem to be better. Everything about them seems more interesting. The good guy's the good guy. You hope he makes it through. They usually do in a Hollywood movie.
Kind of have to.
Right. So it's kind of tough to shade them differently. With my story, of course, vampires are very charismatic. So, because they have to attract. So they are fun, and they do have the good lines. But my character in the story, Cassidy, he is a guy who's bitten, and he has a certain amount of time to get out of the turning into a vampire.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not sure if he's going to turn bad or not the entire comic.
Interesting.
At least the first series.
Oh, the first. So you have plans for?
I do. I tell people I'll write this until people stop reading it.
Oh.
And so far, people have actually showed up here. They found it. I only have it in about 4 or 5 stores.
Mm-hmm.
People have bought it at the stores, and they came out to see me. So it's getting traction.
How long has it been out now?
I've only put out the first issue probably last fall.
Oh, okay. So it's very recent.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's good that people are already come up to you then, because usually it takes a while to get.
See, I don't know the comic world. I went to my first Comic-Con here in Philly in '78. So I've always been on that side of it.
That is a while back.
Yeah. I've always been on that side of it. I've never been on this side. So I'll do a Comic-Con and guys will tell me, well, this is great, or this is not great, or that's pretty good, or, I'm kind of learning as I go. But it's fun.
Oh, excellent. All right. And I guess I could ask if you want to talk about Infinity War.
Okay. I don't want to spoil it for anybody, even though it's made almost $2 billion. I would think everybody's seen it.
It's been weeks.
Yeah.
So talking about the bad guy winning.
Interesting story. I was at the East Coast Comic Con the day Infinity War came out.
Oh, really?
And Jim Starlin was there.
Okay.
So he was like the next row over for me. So I'm like, that's unbelievable that I'm at the same Comic Con as Jim Starlin the day it comes out. And, his comic is so epic. It's like you could never capture it on screen the way it was written. So, as a comic guy, there's always a party that goes, man, I wish they'd have got more of it, more of those characters.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought they did, since they built the Marvel Universe over this period of time,
I
thought they did the best they could with what they had. And it pleased regular moviegoers, and it pleased comic fans, which is hard to do. Everybody's going to quibble, but, they did the best they could with what they had.
Well, and they updated it a little bit for, again, the movie audience, or for the times as well.
Right.
There's no love triangle with Mr. Staff.
Yep.
But that, I think, would have gotten in the way.
Right. They kept it pretty much on point for trying to move the story forward.
Who are you most upset about getting dusted?
At first I was like, Black Panther's gone. But then I was like, well, you always have his sister. The comics have so many different iterations of Black Panther.
Yeah, but do you really think... Well, his sister Suri became Black Panther for a while.
And most people that don't read comics don't know that. So in the comic book guy's mind, or comic book girl, you're thinking, well, there's backups, there's ways of doing things. But it was interesting to me that they didn't touch the major characters. They touched the people around the major characters. Which to me, because we all thought, well, Cap will get it, Iron Man will get it, their contracts are over, they're done. And they'll find a way to bring them back before. So it was kind of weird. 4 should be really interesting.
Because you don't think that those guys, the ones that were dusted, you don't think they're gone for good?
No, not at all. Because they have movies planned out, probably using those characters, and they're incredibly popular. I mean, Black Panther was a giant movie. So, T'Challa's going to make it back somehow. Star-Lord, James Gunn is a whole interesting division. They have him working on the Marvel Universe characters out in space and things now, like Nova and those things, to create that. So that's a whole different wing to go.
And Spider-Man.
Yeah.
It's like, I can't imagine.
Yeah.
We just got him. We're going to kill him off. So
but I will say, I heard Tom Holland improvise that scene with Tony Stark. And it felt, to me, it felt like he was really trying to get something extra.
Oh, so and I think he got it.
Yeah,
that was that. I mean, you're watching them dust, and then they show him, and he's like, I don't want to go. Like, oh my God, no.
It broke my heart. And what's weird is since Tony Stark has been Robert Downey, my kid has grown to the point where I saw Homecoming, and he's 14 now, and I'm having this conversation with him like he's talking to Spider-Man. I almost broke into tears. I was like, this is like how I talk to my kid. It was the relationship, the dynamic they created between the two of them has been. It was
brilliant.
Good. And that's Downey just will hang out with the kid and made him feel comfortable when he came in. And Marvel's really done something special when it translates.
Yeah.
I hope DC can do more of that. Not Marvel-like, but more, that feel.
What are your predictions for 4?
Well, I've heard rumors. I don't want to throw anything away, but I'm not in the writer's room, so it doesn't matter to me.
No,
I'm guessing.
Everybody's guessing at this point.
I heard there was a Avengers Forever story where something like this happens, and the Avengers have to use some type of time travel to go back and fix a bunch of things. So that's what I'm starting to get. It'll be 4 or 5 years later. Tony Stark will have been working with Hank Pym maybe and some other people to try and go back and fix everything. So, and he will fix some things, and he won't fix other things. Kind of like Doctor Who. There's a set point in time where things happen, and you can't. Will never be changed. So some people come back, and some people won't. Some people who have died, I heard, are coming back. So it's interesting. I like that they're mixing it up. You know, in America, we build you up, and we tear you down. That's just the way it is. And Marvel's doing the same thing. And I think it's logical and it makes sense.
Cool. Where, we'll finish this off with, where can we find all of your stuff online?
Online on Comixology.
Yeah.
Vampires in New Jersey 1 and 2. 3 should be out in the next 45 days.
Okay.
It's locally, of course, at Ron's Comic World in Mount Holly, New Jersey. Plunder Palace in Cherry Hill. Heroes in Burlington, New Jersey. And Atomic City Comics on South Street in Philly.
All right. Thank you very much. You're on Facebook and Twitter. And
it is a Vampires in New Jersey page. It's getting pretty fat. It's got 30,000 people on it. So
wow, okay.
Go on there and say hi, and I can keep you guys up to date. There's a Twitter too, but I'm still trying to figure out Twitter and Instagram. But
just don't, as far as I understand, don't do Tumblr. That's all you have to know.
All right, good. Thanks for the recommendation.
All right. Thank you for taking the time to talk to us, and I wish you luck, and hopefully, you'll hear back from those executives.
Yeah, that'd be nice. But you know what's weird? I pitched Columbia. I put together a pretty good pitch, so I'm ready for my next pitch. It's good to go.
Someday, if I see this on the screen, I'll know we got to talk to you.
There you go.
It's awesome.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
And there you go.
Cool. Another wonderful interview brought to us by John O'Grady, our man on the street. He has his ear to the sidewalk, and his brain is on vacation.
Well, my ears to the sidewalk is mostly because usually security's holding me down.
Cool. So, well, there we go. Again, thanks for listening, and don't forget we will be at New York Comic Con this year. More on that to come later. I don't know if we have any plans other than running around trying to get interviews.
We're going to see what we can do.
John goes crazy when we go to this show, so.
Yeah, John hulks out into, I don't know, what am I, Anchor John? I don't know. I don't get. All I do is blank out, and next thing I know, I've got a whole bunch of audio.
All I know
recordings.
is it scares me. That's all I'm saying. So on that note, boys and girls, as always, thanks for listening, and don't let your cape go out the door. Have a good week.